Hi, I am so excited to see you again and talk to you about what's new. We just finished May, or as some people describe it, Maycember. And I used to think, oh, that doesn't affect me anymore because Maycember, I always thought was more for people who had kids in school and they had their final concerts and they were graduating and they had finals and the end of school activities and all that stuff. And I thought, well, my kids aren't at home anymore, so I won't experience that. Oh my goodness, this was a Maycember for me. There's just, and it wasn't just the activities, so there was plenty of those. I helped my local high school do their advanced placement testing, and that's all in May. And there was a lot of ones that I helped with, so that took up a lot of time. And then in my family, well, kind of starting at the end of April, there were three different hospitalizations that went on with people in my family, and having to navigate that and getting the stress of all those things. And just this year was my 40th class reunion, and we have that on Memorial Weekend. So there's just a lot of things. And I loved last month's podcast series where every month you heard from a different parent coach, and then I gave my what I thought about each episode and topic. And I thought that was so fun. And I hope to do that again because it was just so fun to meet new parent coaches. And I wanted you to meet new parent coaches. But now it's back to me. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about some things that I've been thinking about when we're talking about kids going from high school to college. And that is a group that I'm really trying to focus on because it fits perfectly in the anxiety space that I live in. Because I think a lot of the reason that kids get kind of tripped up in that first year of college has to do, at least with anxious thoughts that we all have. And I want to help young people realize their potential and the things that they can do in this world. And I think a lot of times they just don't know it. I also love the podcast, The Curiosity Shop, which is Brene Brown and Adam Grant, and they just talk about different topics. And every Thursday, I can't wait for it to come on. Thursday's my laundry day too. So as I'm doing laundry, I'm listening to their conversation and thinking about, how does this pertain to me and how can I use this information in my life? And I'm a learner anyway, so it makes it so fun. And this Thursday was about paradoxes. And one of them that they talked about was the Stockdale Paradox. And Stockdale was in the Vietnam War and he was prisoner of war. And they asked him what type of people didn't make it in the POW camps. And he said the optimists. And I was like, oh my gosh. I think I stopped listening for a while and I had to go back because I was thinking, wait a minute, I'm an optimist. And I've always thought that that was a gift or a skill I have because I always see the bright side. I always see the sunshine, even when things are bad. And that seems like that would be helpful in a situation like a prisoner of war camp. And I'm also an Enneagram 7, which is the enthusiast. Positivity is my number one strength and Clifton strengths. And I was like, oh no, what does this mean? Like, I wouldn't make it in a terrible situation. And so I kind of I listened to their whole thing and they explained why, which was helpful because the reason is that people who were optimists, they're just seeing like, what his example was, they were thinking, well, I'll get out by Christmas. And then when Christmas would come and go, it would break their heart and they would start getting depressed or sad that, oh, I was optimistic that this was going to happen and then it didn't happen. And then that is kind of what threw them. And so I started to think about how can I be an optimist? Because I'm not going to get rid of positivity out of my innate personality strengths. I'm not, well, some people don't believe in the Enneagram, but I the parts that I've studied, I'm pretty sure I'm a number seven enthusiast. And if I am somebody who's always looking at the positive, glass half full, how am I going to endure things that maybe are really hard or terrible and be able to get out on the other side? And that he talked about you can be optimistic. You could have this faith or hope that things are going to get better, but you also have to face the harsh realities too. You have to think about, okay, this could take some time, or this could be difficult while I'm still have this hope that I'm going to get out. And then I started thinking about my business and how I just keep plugging along even when things don't don't happen in the time schedule that I think they should, or I don't get the same engagement in something that I think I should. Understand the harsh realities of owning a business, and I still have the hope that I am serving people and people are listening and people are getting something from it. And so I hope that I have like this dual ability to understand the harsh realities of things, but still be have that faith and hope that things are going to be good and I am going to get to my goal and things are going to get better. And I was thinking about these freshmen in college. That's the group that I'm wanting to work with this summer. I want to help young people learn about themselves in July and figure out maybe they're an optimist or maybe they have some of these other strengths, and they're going to find out because they'll take the UMAP assessment and see what are those strengths that they have. And then we're also going to talk about the harsh realities of what college is to a lot of people. And then when they're anticipating that, they're not just going in flying in the clouds, so excited, not realizing that there are some harsh realities in college too. And then those things won't hit them as hard as they would someone who wasn't thinking about those things. And then they have both. They have the dual part of this paradox that we're talking about, where they know that there's going to be some tough things, there's going to be some barriers, there's going to be some challenges, and they have this knowledge of themselves and what they can do and how they can reframe things and tell themselves a different story. And those skills have to be taught. We don't just automatically have them. If you follow me or have followed me for a while, I've told the story about my very first college experience and how I dropped out in October. And October is the biggest month for people dropping out of college. And when I thought about this paradox, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what happened because I was so excited about going to college. That's all I thought about. I thought about all the good stuff. I'm going to be in these clubs. I'm going to make these new friends. Well, when I first started thinking about college, like that last semester of high school, I didn't have a boyfriend. And so I was thinking about the guys I was going to meet, and I was going to find my life partner, and just like all of the positive, optimistic, enthusiastic things that I could think about college. That's all I thought about. I didn't think about I'm going to be lonely. I'm going to maybe not measure up or feel like I'm measuring up based on the other students that are there, because that's something I didn't have any experience in either. I came from a really small community, a small farming community, and in a small community where I don't want to say the education was subpar. I had some really good teachers, and there was things that I learned there that I've never forgotten. But when your bar of what is the top of the class is just regular, I think so much about the high school that I worked at the last 14 years of my education, and it was a top tier 6A school in Kansas. And when I think about the education and the level that you had to meet to be top there versus what I had to be, it's just different. And I had no idea what the top really looked like because I was coming from a small area that there wasn't that type of competition. So when I did go to college, So I wouldn't have even been able to anticipate this, but I think if I would have had a mentor that did know and they could say, oh, by the way, you might feel like this or you might experience this, it would have given me something to think about or like some knowing that, oh, I am going to feel like that and it's normal. I am going to experience that and it's okay. I had no idea when I got there because I had been on such a high and everything was going to be so perfect and so amazing because that's how I look at life. And then I was in class with kids who were way more educated than I was, and they were my peers. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't fit in here. I'm not ready for this. This isn't I think I just saw it like high school and I am smart and I can be a good student. I was not a good high school student just because I didn't want to be, but I love learning and things come easy to me. And so in a small town high school, me not trying was still okay and average. Me not trying in college, there's no way you can catch up. And I just didn't know to anticipate that. So when those things started happening and I was going to classes and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is like way over my head," or "These kids are way ahead of me." And again, also remember that those stories that you're telling yourself a lot of times, well, most of the time are not true. Like I was thinking, I'm way behind these kids. I'm not as smart as them. Um, I don't understand any of this stuff. That was just stories I was telling myself, and I didn't know that I could change them or think differently or try to think differently. And so I'm just being lost. And then I'm lonely because then after I graduated, the summer before I went away to school, I met my boyfriend who I did eventually marry. Um, but I was like obsessed with him. So then by the time I went away to college, then I was missing him and I was lonely. And because I came from a small town and of course, I wanted to get out of that small town. Oh, I'm going to the big city. I'm leaving all these people behind. And I was used to being feeling safe and comfortable in my community because everybody knew me or I knew everyone else. I had a level of I wouldn't say popularity, but just people knew me and you had this feeling of community. And then I go where no one knows me and it doesn't mean anything except it makes me feel like I don't fit in. I don't have friends. I just want to go home. I'm so sad. I'm not smart enough. I can't handle this. And then I just got so overwhelmed that I couldn't even make myself go to class because it would just be like confronting that feeling over and over again. And then I'm getting further and further behind. And then I also don't want to go there even more because I'm so behind. And I see other kids just going around being fine and not having any problems, even though I'm sure they were experiencing some of it too. It just didn't look like it to me. And I just cried all the time. And I just thought, oh, I guess college isn't for me, or I guess I can't handle this, or I'm not good enough or smart enough or whatever to be here. And I left. And I just think that could have been so different if I was working with someone that wasn't my parents, because I was not listening to my parents at that time. I was like, I'm out of here. I'm my own person, my own adult. I don't need your ideas. Plus they didn't go to college, so they didn't know. And even if they would have, it would have been different. But I wouldn't have listened to my parents. But if I would have had an adult that could tell me and prepare me for all of these things, and an adult I would listen to because it probably anybody that wasn't my parents I would have listened to, and they could have said, "Hey, by the way, these are some things that are going to come up. You're going to feel these ways, and it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't be there. It doesn't mean that anything has gone wrong. It just means that this is a new experience. You're learning absolutely everything new, and you can make it and you can make this work." And because of work that we would do in the summer about these are your strengths, these are your skills, these are the things that you value in life, and somebody to constantly keep reminding you of that. So that's what I love about this program that I've created, where in the summer, just for 4 weeks, because I know you want to have a summer, you want to see your friends for the last time, or well, not the last time, but you have a lot of lasts that summer before you go to college. And so you want to spend time with your friends and you want to relax and you want to forget about school and you want to just enjoy your life and enjoy laying around playing video games or eating a lot of your mom's good food or whatever it is. So I don't want to take very much of your time, but I want to just spend July just 4 times talking to you about here's who you are. Here's all the things that are amazing about you. Here's everything that works for you. And just to kind of give you that a little bit more confidence as you go into that first year. And then go to college, move in, go to all the activities, the dances, the meetups, meet all the people in your dorm, or if you can go to an apartment. Sometimes colleges don't let that happen in your freshman year, but whatever your situation is as you go in, take all that excitement and have fun with it and enjoy it. And those first few classes, you're just going to be getting to know the professor. How do you get to the classes? They're going to give you some kind of introductory information. Nothing's going to be too stressful at the beginning. If you're in other activities, going to the practices or the whatever, maybe you are getting a part-time job. So starting to figure that out and how do you um, figure out your schedule around all of that. And then you're going to actually start getting into oh, now I have to study. And now I have a bunch of tests. And now I have to write these papers. And now my roommates are getting annoying. And now I don't feel like I fit in here. Or maybe I feel like I'm not smart enough. Or I miss my home. I miss my parents. I miss my romantic partner. I mean, all of those things are going to come up. And then I'm going to come back in September, October, those hardest months while you're really trying to transition into school. And then I'm going to be there to be like, okay, what are the things that are happening? What is starting to challenge you? What are you feeling scared about? What are you feeling annoyed about? Um, Maybe you need to talk to your professor. How do you go about that? How could you talk to them? Maybe you need to have a hard conversation with your roommates. Maybe you need to figure out how to not feel as lonely or homesick. There's just so many things that we could talk about, and we can talk about anything because I will be working just with individual kids on anything that they need to work at. So whoever is in that summer time where we start out with shoring them up with all the confidence, then those same kids, I'm going to be checking in with them for 8 more weeks. And that right after school has their into the routine, I'm going to jump back in and say, okay, what's going on? And then midterms are going to be coming up during that time, getting ready for those. Sometimes coming to terms with, wow, I didn't learn enough in that one class. And how do we fix that? Or what do we do about it? Um, Maybe navigating dating relationships. Maybe people are asking you out, and then you're like, oh, I'm going on these dates, but I don't know. All of the stuff, whatever it is that's coming up, we can talk about it. And there are studies that show that when people have this kind of mentorship, this kind of coaching during that early time, that's when they're the most uncertain, but they have this adult coming in saying, oh, but remember, you have these strengths, or remember, this is normal. Feeling like this is just part of doing anything new. And here's what we're going to do to overcome that, or here's what we're going to do to struggle through it so that they can stay there. And I haven't added this to the program yet, but a parent recommended this, and I think it's a good idea that because she had a couple of her kids already go through at least a year, maybe 2 years of college. And she said she noticed a dip after Christmas break, before spring break, where they have maybe 6 weeks off at Christmas and they go back home and they get all comfy again and their meals are made for them. They can sleep late. They don't have any homework. And then it's like, oh, here's January. Let's jump back in doing all new classes. And maybe that semester is harder than the semester was before. Maybe they moved to a different dorm room. Maybe they've went to an apartment. I mean, just different changes happen after that Christmas break. And so it's possible. And I'm very much considering that with those same kids that I do the initial 12 weeks with, maybe we'll jump back in another 4 weeks as needed in that second semester to just kind of help all of those things again, because there's going to be more challenges and different barriers. And how do we deal with that? And maybe you have a professor that's really tough or really mean. And how do you navigate that? And what do you do? And how do you do your best and still maintain your mental health? And those are just really tough things to do, but like essential skills to have as you go through adulthood. And so why don't we just do this right now when it's the most important time to do it? So I hope you really consider, if you have a college freshman getting ready to go into college in August, let's talk so that I can get to know them in that July time and help them get to know themselves, give them a lot of confidence about who they are as they go in. Then I'll let them move in and have all the fun and get acclimated in their new setting. And then I'll jump back in when things are starting to get a little wonky. So contact me if you want your child to be in this program. I'm also going to have a wait list that you can sign up for so that you can, so I can review all of those, because I'm only taking a few people because I want it to be um, so zeroed in, lasered in on what your child exactly needs and everything exactly for them. And that's going to take a lot of brain work on my part as well as theirs. So I want it to be a small number of people so that I can really zero in on what's going on with them. And I really think this is going to be an annual thing that I do. So if you have children that are younger, but they're like going to be a junior in high school this year, or next year, or a senior in high school next year, uh, stay tuned, because I am positive I'm going to keep offering this, because I just think that's such a crucial time. I think the transition from high school to college is the hardest, high school to anything in your adult life. Um, but I think that's the hardest transition that we ever go through in our lives. And it's just because it's just the first time that everything is thrown at us at once to do on our own. And I know that you're going to support your kids. I did mine too. I was always there on the phone, talking them through things or throwing them money when I needed to. But I really think that there's still, I mean, it's like, if you really think about it, it's the only transition in life where we're totally thrown into everything on our own, um, because we're living away from our parents. Just everything is, and not that there aren't people to support, and I'm going to be one of those people, but it's just a different situation, because then when they graduate from college and go to their first adult job, they already have been doing things on their own. So there's still challenges and there's still things that they have to learn. And there's going to be a messy time there too, because they're having to relearn some other things. But they've already had to do some things on their own. And so they already have at least a little bit of confidence in how to do that. And then every transition after that, which there's so many, if you think about it, getting married, having a child, um, deaths in your family, divorces, um, becoming a grandparent, um, blended families. I mean, all of those things are transitions. But when you get to those things and you're navigating them, you've probably already done some things on your own already. So that's why I think this is the most crucial transition. And it's perfect because it's already the same age kids I already work with. So it's not like I'm having to totally, it really just fits into what I've already been doing. It's just that I'm going to take a really small group of people that are exactly going into their very first college experience. And so that group, I'm just going to kind of zero in on. And then that program that I'm building with them, and they're going to help me build it because I haven't done it before. It can become probably a bigger program, especially if I really start pinpointing, like, most of the kids have this problem, or this is a barrier for everyone. As I'm starting to figure all those things out, I think I will be able to broaden it to a bigger group of people, and maybe even making like a group of kids could go through the program and have success without like the really specific one-to-one um, help. But I want to do it with just a small group to make it so specific so I can really dig into what goes on. And so um, think about this paradox, look it up, go check out the Curiosity Shop with Brene Brown and Adam Grant. It is so thought provoking. Well, I'm a learner. So if you're a learner person and if you're listening to podcasts, you're probably a learner person anyway. But go listen to the things they're talking about. Every one, I've been like, oh, and I can see how it relates to me. I can see how it relates to what I'm doing. And for this, even though I've already been working on this program, that particular episode really fit for now I know what one of the missing pieces is that, especially for optimist kids going off, and really all the kids have like this positive energy going to college. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm getting away from my parents. I'm going to have so much fun. I'm going to be in all these activities and I'm going to date all these people, whatever it is. And then you get there, and yes, those things are happening and there's fun things and it's exciting, but then you're like, oh, I don't know how to study, or I don't know how to make my schedule work, or I don't know how to make myself get up in the morning, or I don't know how to talk to these people that keep showing up in my dorm room that I don't want to be there. And I don't know how to do so many things. So um, let me help you with that because I don't think even though parents are essential in this process, I don't think this information can come from you because this is the time when they're needing to figure it out on kind of on their own, but with another person helping them navigate it. They're going to just listen to me a lot easier because I'm not their mom. So, anyway, I will talk to you soon and just send me any questions you have. I'd love to talk to you about it.